The W15 was supposed to be the car that would fix all of Mercedes' problems and drag them back to the front of the grid, being competitive in Formula 1. But 3 races into the season and things are not looking good for the Silver Arrows. So what's gone wrong with this change of concept for Mercedes? After spending 2 years trying to get their Zero Sidepod concept to work, Mercedes finally gave in the towel and redesigned the car to be more conventional with the W15. But after it's hit the track in pre-season testing in the first 3 races of the season, it would seem that the W15 has very similar character traits to its predecessors, the W13 and 14. The issue with those cars is they were inconsistent. They had a loose rear end, which gave the drivers no confidence, and they had trouble getting the car to run low enough to the ground to make the powerful undercar Venturi tunnels work to be able to get maximum downforce. The W15 was supposed to completely solve these issues and give them a basis to work from going forward. Now, the W15 was not meant to be the completed article. They expected to be behind Red Bull and maybe around Ferrari, but the idea behind the complete redesign was that they would be able to take this car as a stronger base for developing the car through the season, to be able to make them more competitive, to fight for race wins and maybe even a championship next season. But with the car displaying similar character traits to its predecessors, it does not seem likely that Mercedes are going to be able to catch the much faster Red Bull and Ferrari, who have made good strides in the off-season. According to interviews with Toto Wolff, the issue is a lack of correlation between their simulation tools, that's the wind tunnel and CFD, and what they're seeing on track. The two aren't marrying up together. What's really worrying about this is that Mercedes have spent a lot of time and money trying to solve this problem over the last 2 seasons, and yet they haven't been able to. We go into a new season where they have designed a car with these tools and they are having the same sort of problems that they were having before with their inconsistent cars. There also seems to be a knowledge gap. They're struggling to make these ground effect cars work the way they're supposed to. Ground effect is a particularly difficult issue because you can't just look at someone else's car and copy it. Most of the downforce is generated under the car with a very technical and powerful underfloor, and how you feed the air off of the front wing into the Venturi tunnels, it's all very technical and takes a lot of understanding, and it seems like Mercedes, there's a gap in their knowledge of how to make this car go faster. Now, obviously, I don't know what it is, and only Mercedes could answer what they're lacking or what they're missing, and we might even see if they can find that moment where they can unlock the potential of the W15 to learn that knowledge which they're missing. We may see a big jump from Mercedes as they start to catch the other teams, but so far, after 2 years, we haven't seen them be able to fill the gap of knowledge that they seem to be lacking. Now, to add to their problems, at the Australian Grand Prix, Lewis Hamilton went out of the race with a loss of oil pressure, which ruined the engine. So on top of having inconsistent car performance from aerodynamics, they may now have the potential of having an unreliable engine. But we'll have to wait till later into the season to see if that truly is the case. We'll need some more data, some more sample sets to see if they do have engine issues. Now, there are some positives for Mercedes. If their problem is with the correlation with the CFD and wind tunnel to what they're seeing on the track, well, then they can improve that by changing some of the tools they use, trying to get better correlation between the two by using the on-track running as a basis for what they're seeing in CFD and in the wind tunnel. And if it's an aerodynamic issue, well, then the aerodynamics can be changed. You can make additions to the floor, you can bring upgrades to the car aerodynamically. And another positive for the team is that the other teams that are running the Mercedes engines didn't seem to have a problem in the first 3 races of the season. So hopefully it's an isolated incident that meant that Hamilton's engine gave out. But if they do want to get back to the front of the grid, Mercedes have an awful lot of work to do to catch Red Bull and Ferrari. Red Bull are bringing a big upgrade package allegedly to the Japanese Grand Prix this weekend, and Ferrari have definitely improved the performance of their car, which means that the target that Mercedes is aiming for is moving away from them with each passing weekend. Now, no one knows better what is actually going on inside of Mercedes than the people who are working there themselves, and I'm sure they're working as hard as they can to try to get the W15 up to scratch. But it is disheartening after so much was made of the W15, what it's going to do for the team, how it's going to improve the racing for them and get them back to the front of the grid. And now they're having problems with their car, trying to get it to run and having similar issues to what they had last season. It's a big concern for the team. As we go on through the rest of the season though, there will be races which will suit the W15 a bit better, ones where they don't have such high speed corners, which will mean that they won't be struggling so much with the inconsistencies that they definitely see in the high speed. I mean, if we look at Bahrain as an example compared to Jeddah, they were more competitive. So there is hope that Mercedes won't be completely washed, but so far they are definitely struggling. And they don't want to be in this place where they're behind Red Bull, Ferrari and McLaren, leaving them fourth at best overall. They want to be further towards the front. What do you make of the W15, and do you think it's possible for the Mercedes team to turn their fortunes around in this ground effect era? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below.